Okay, can we talk about online access? If your kids are anything like mine, they have a little bit of a sneaky side to them. I remember one time when Madison was about 2 or 3 years old, I was awakened in the middle of the night because, like as a mom, you're like always half awake, half asleep. Anywho, I was awakened by the sound of like very faint voices talking. Sat up straight in the bed, only to realize the voices were really close, like in my room, close. Climbed over the hubby, who was next to me, sleeping like hard as a rock because that man sleeps through like everything. Like he doesn't wake up for anything. Like not a baby crying, not a house on fire. That's a whole nother story. But anyway, climbed over him, looked down to the floor, and what do I see? But like a toddler on an iPad watching Netflix. I mean, y'all, this chick had straight come out of her room in the middle of the night, come down into our room, got my iPad off of my nightstand, and went around to her daddy's side of the bed and in her toddler way hid to watch Netflix. All of that just so that she can get access to some online content. Well, in this week's video, we're going to be talking about some tips in order to manage online access. So stay tuned. Hey everybody, I'm Danny with The Great Balancing Act. Thank you so much for tuning in. In the last video, we talked about how to monitor your child's online activity. In the video this week, I want to give just 3 quick tips for how to monitor or actually manage their online access. So tip number 1 is to manage their screen time access. And this can be done either in terms of how much time they're spending per day, and also the hours in terms of not between this time and this time. And there's a number of apps out there that will help you to do this. So the first one that I kind of want to just throw out there, I'm sure is available from a variety of different providers, but our home internet service is through ATT. So whether you have Comcast, Verizon, whoever you have, I'm pretty sure they have something similar. So with AT&T, like their home app, they allow us to set up profiles and assign certain devices to the profiles. So like whether it's the kids' iPad, the laptops that they use, I assign them to a profile, the kids' profile, and assign times of day that those devices are allowed to get on the internet. So that works really well for that. So like it automatically shuts the internet off to those devices like after 9 p.m. and it doesn't come back on until like 5:30 a.m. and I can adjust that as needed. So it works really well for any device that does not have cellular data. So rolling right into the next one that I wanted to talk about, which was Google Family Link. So Google Family Link is one that works for Android devices. And that's one that I recently kind of been playing with, and I really like this one so far. And so this is good for the cell phones. So it has the same type of principle where you could assign the time to it. And so it has what they call like a bedtime on it. So it actually not shuts the phone down, but they go to swipe or whatever they do, like get into the phone, and it's just like, nope, can't use this phone until 6 a.m. It's bedtime. So yeah, really cool. They can't actually even get into it other than to make an emergency phone call. So that's pretty cool. So not only does that prevent them from using things that require the internet or the data services, but even some of the games that they downloaded that don't require that, but they can still be time suckers and have them up in the middle of the night, because that's another thing that we kind of dealt with Madison at one point. And it's not related to like online content, but just something separate. Like sometimes like she's supposed to be asleep and she'd be staying up playing these addictive games like on her phone, and then you wake up the next morning and you're super tired because you didn't go to sleep when you're supposed to go to sleep. But now that one kind of solves for that, because guess what? Phone shut down. Love it. So that was really, really cool. And then you can also set time limits per app in there too. And it allows you to manage, approve, and block certain apps that you allow to the phone also. So that's really cool also. So I'm feeling that one so far. And then the last one that I wanted to discuss, and again, there's tons of them out there, was Qustodio. I mentioned that one in the last video that I was going to be trying that one out. So same principle, it allows you to do the same thing to a set, I think they call it restriction times, but it's the same kind of concept as like a bedtime, times of day where they can't use the devices that it's managing. And you can also set specific number of hours. So if you only want your child to use the device for 2 hours a day, and you can set it by the app, like they can only be in this app for this amount of time a day, so that you can do that. So that's really cool. And then tip number 2 is to consider having your child to turn in their electronics and the pieces that they need to operate those electronics every night. So one of the things that we've done before is to have her set up like a electronics bin. So something shouldn't be a big deal in terms of an inconvenience thing, but just have them throw like all of their remote controls, controllers, cell phones, iPad, whatever it is, into just like one large bin. And they can either bring it to you, or they can just sit outside their bedroom door every night. That way they're not up using the devices when they're not supposed to be. So that's another alternative that you could try. And then tip number 3 is to, if you really want to go all in, change it so that they're only allowed to use those devices out in the public spaces of the home. So you can set a rule so that they have to be out in the living room, family room, den areas, wherever. It's going to be much more difficult to be doing things that you're not supposed to be doing when you're out in the open in front of everyone, when you're out in the open. So that's tip number 3. Well, that's it for today. I thank you so much for joining me, and I'm really curious to know what everyone else is doing. So while you're here, please go ahead and drop a comment and let me know how you're managing the access, or are you managing the access? So go ahead and drop a comment below and let's go ahead and discuss it. And while you're here, please hit the subscribe button, ring the notification bell so that you can stay tuned when I post more videos like this. And I look forward to talking with you next time. See you later.